In the information age, it's very rare for an artist to be shrouded in mystery. In the past 4 years, Mach-Hommy has gone from an underground folk-like myth to one of the most buzzed-about rappers in the game, and we still somehow know very little about him. At this point, he's one of the biggest self-made brands in music, but his real name and age are still unknown to the public. He's one of the most talented artists of his generation, giving us one of the most prolific album runs that we've ever seen. The decisions that he's made from a branding standpoint has changed the way that up-and-coming rappers will move in the industry forever. With his latest album, Pray for Haiti, he's taken a palpable step into the mainstream and public eye for the first time in his career. And he's done all this while supposedly running a farm? The mythos around him only continues to grow as his fan base multiplies. So today I'm going to take a look back as far as I can go, to try and understand the legendary man that is Mach-Hommy.
Howdy. While you motherfuckers play video games and shit, I'm over here social distancing and shit.
Mach-Hommy is from Newark, New Jersey, but more importantly, he's a Haitian American. He wears the Haitian flag across his face, doubling as both a way to conceal his identity and as a way to bring his heritage into the forefront of how people perceive him. That flag bandana has become synonymous with Mach-Hommy and is one of the most important pieces of apparel in hip-hop right now. But before Mach ever even wore the mask, he released his debut project way back in 2004. Goon Grizzle is an 8-track gem that simultaneously sounds like the Mach that we all know and love now, with a touch of some early 2000s rawness. His lyrics, flow, and overall ear for crafting great hip-hop is already in top form here. For nearly the next decade, it's a mystery what Mach was up to. I've seen rumors that he was in prison, or that he was involved in a major car accident, and I'm really not sure what the truth is about this era of Mach, but it doesn't really matter, because what I do know is that when he returned in 2013, he was ready to go on one of the greatest runs in hip-hop history. In 2013, he released 6 EPs: I-Grade, Well-Breducated, Foreign Objects, Mayday, Goodbye Uncle Tom, and Good Grease. These EPs make up the elusive Supertape, and lead up to the first full-length project of his career, FYI. This is one of my favorite Mach projects of all time, and I feel like it doesn't get enough credit among his fans. Here Mach is at his most straightforward, giving us 13 tracks of cool beats and even cooler verses. His later projects can get into some very artsy and abstract territory, but this is just some dope hip-hop. There's no skips at all on this project, and it's a breeze to listen to, so I definitely recommend it to anyone who hasn't already heard it. Around this time, he linked up with Westside Gunn and Conway the Machine, joining Griselda Records. Mach actually was working as Gunn's cameraman at the time when Gunn found out that Mach could spit, and the rest is history. In 2016, Mach was featured on Griselda's Don't Get Scared Now EP, which was followed by the release of his Griselda debut, Haitian Body Odor. This project is the first time that Mach shows just how unique and special of a talent he is. The cover of the album is a beautiful painting of Michelle Bennett, the wife of former Haitian President Jean-Claude Baby Doc Duvalier. Her image looks like the embodiment of beauty, but her and her husband are known for ruling in a time riddled with turmoil and corruption. Mach uses this image as the perfect backdrop for this album. The cover art paints a story of Haitian history for those fans who are interested in getting more out of the music. Mach blends knowledge with verses detailing a life of illegal activity, which is not necessarily new ground for any rapper, but it's how he delivers these lines which really sets him apart. The textures of Mach's syrupy, deep voice allow him to blend singing with his rapped verses, and even more importantly, allows him to slip into Haitian Creole at a moment's notice. Simply put, there's no one who sounds cooler than Mach on the mic at this point. Unfortunately, Mach's Griselda run was short-lived, as there was a feud between Westside Gunn and the god Fahim, in which Mach took Fahim's side. This left the door open for Mach and Fahim to start their own movement, and go on one of the most legendary single-year runs of all time. In 2017, the Dump Gods had a remarkable year. Mach released Dollar Menu in January, Dollar Menu 2 in April, The Spook in May, Dump God Hommy Edition in June, Dollar Menu 3 in July, Dumpmeister, La Hertz, and The Gat all in September, and then closing out the year with Dia de los Muertos in November. Now I know people love Pac's 96 or Doom's 2004, but nobody, and I mean nobody, is touching Mach's 2017. Among these projects, he has 3 collaborations with Fahim, one produced by Knowledge, and another produced by Earl Sweatshirt. One of the standout albums of the bunch is Dump God Hommy Edition. In my opinion, this is Mach's second classic after HBO. His lyricism has leveled up here, and he really embraces his singing, which is something that sets him apart from his contemporaries. Mach released 3 incredible albums in September of 2017, one of them being his greatest work to date in my opinion, The Gospel According To. This album is so special. Mach embraces his one-of-a-kind voice and delivery over some incredible jazzy production from August Fannin. This album holds its own with the greatest jazz rap albums of all time, melding the genres into one piece of art that feels improvisational and deliberate with its perfection. With the release of the Dollar Menu trilogy with the God Fahim, the Dump Gods solidified themselves as one of the most exciting duos in hip-hop. Their styles complement each other perfectly. Mach's voice is deeper and sort of glides underneath the track, sometimes acting as an extension of the instrumentation, while Fahim's voice is higher and cuts right through the track. I know old heads will get mad at me for this, but they really remind me of a new school Q-Tip and Phife Dawg, or Mos Def and Talib Kweli. One member of the duo has the abstract and melodic verses, while the other cuts through with their higher-pitched, sharp lyricism. The duo continued their run in 2018, giving us Duck Season, Dump Olympics, Saturday Night Lights, and Notorious Dump Legends. And on top of that, Mach released Bulletproof La on his own, and executive-produced Wide Berth, which is one of, if not the very best Fahim project. Around this time, Mach started to work more as an executive producer, handling the release of multiple Fahim projects, as well as 2 of Your Old Droog's albums released in 2019 alone. With the help of Mach's incredible ear, he helped Droog transform from another great MC to one of the most promising figures in the scene. Since for the longest time Mach didn't have any music on streaming, the first thing that most people would notice when looking for his music would be the outlandishly high prices that he would charge. He would sell cassettes for $70, CDs for $100, and a vinyl for sometimes over $1,000. His album The Gat was famously sold for $3,000 on wax. At first glance, this seems ludicrous. Why would you pay $1,000 to hear an album when there are millions of other albums out there to listen to for free? Well, that's just what makes Mach such a visionary. In an industry where streaming services are paying artists a fraction of a penny for thousands of streams, Mach has created his own business model to dodge the system that the industry has in place. Mach doesn't need millions of fans in order to make a living. He just needs a small but dedicated fan base. If he has just 100 dedicated fans who buy his album for $1,000, he would make $100,000. And he would need millions of people streaming his music on Spotify to reach anything close to that. So while his business model may seem crazy at first, it actually is the smartest thing for him to do. Mach set the market himself, thus making his music a commodity. He doesn't call his supporters fans, he calls them investors, because they invested in his art. As Mach's success continues to grow, this business model started becoming a standard practice among other up-and-coming underground rappers. Now if you still aren't sold, take a look what Mach himself has to say about his prices when asked about it in an interview. He says, "Ask yourself, what would you pay for 1 hour of happiness? Would you pay $300? Now if I told you that 1 hour of happiness, that 1 hour where you could be transported outside of yourself, what if I told you that it was infinitely repeatable, with no limitation on it other than you having the time to listen to it? Do you think 1 hour of happiness whenever you want it is worth $300? It's that simple. I think it's worth way more than $300. But I created a number where I felt people could engage with it, and it would let me know at least that person is making an effort. I do not want my music in the wrong hands." So when you look at it like that, it doesn't really seem so crazy. He's making fine art, and he's treating it as such. But in the spirit of full disclosure, I must add, when asked about why he prices things so high in a different interview, he stated, "I'm here for the bag of money, you dumbass." So even if you don't submit to his noble notion of providing happiness to his investors, it's as simple as supply and demand. Now even though the math backs up Mach's strategy on his side, I bet you're thinking, is it really worth it for his fans to pay such a hefty price for music? Well, as a Mach-Hommy investor myself, I assure you, the music is absolutely worth the hype. 2019 was a huge year for Mach. He teamed up with the legendary DJ Muggs to give us both Two La Twos and the self-titled Kill 'Em All. These projects are both great additions to his catalog, but it was his EP Wap Konn Joj that became one of the most important releases of his career. I'm not sure if it was the Griselda boom in popularity around that time, or the cosign from The Alchemist and Earl, or just the fact that it came out on streaming so early. But for whatever reason, the release of this project introduced a whole new generation of fans to Mach-Hommy. I remember back in 2019 when I saw The Alchemist tweet about the album, the cover immediately caught my eye, and I was like, who is this guy? And from there I dove into Mach's catalog and fell in love with his music. This project is only 15 minutes long, but it's perfectly constructed. It has some of my favorite moments of his career on here. This project showcases everything I love about Mach. It really is a one-of-a-kind piece of art that nobody else in hip-hop could make. From this point forward, Mach is full steam ahead. He sacrifices a little bit of his mystique, but the opportunities he gets from here put him in a completely different class from where he was just a few years earlier. He famously had dinner with Jay-Z, which led to him releasing his next record, Mach's Hard Lemonade, as a title exclusive. By 2021, Mach had been slowly releasing his back catalog onto streaming services, helping his new fans get acquainted with his music. By this point, Mach has become one of the most talked about rappers around, with tastemakers like Kevin Durant and Drake featuring his music on their social media. But the most important thing that came out of 2021 is the squashed beef between Mach-Hommy and Westside Gunn. As two titans of the same movement, it just felt right seeing them back together. And it wasn't just for show either. Westside Gunn even executive produced Mach's biggest album to date, Pray for Haiti. This album is both a spiritual successor to Gunn's Pray for Paris, as well as Mach-Hommy's HBO. Mach tapped into some of the most talented artists in the underground to give us one of the best projects of the year. This album was another prime example of him embracing his Haitian heritage. Lyrically, Mach is as sharp as ever on here. The whole project feels grand, like a statement that Mach-Hommy is not just a cult rapper, but he is in fact here to stay as one of the most vivid voices in hip-hop. The album was recorded in just 7 days, 3 days in Atlanta, 3 days in Puerto Rico, and 1 day in Phoenix. And in those 7 days, they put together a masterclass in modern hip-hop. And Mach is far from finished. In December of 2021, he released Ballin's Cho, Hot Candles, featuring beautiful production from Conductor Williams, Nicholas Craven, and the legendary Raz G. For the album's rollout, Mach went back to his old mysterious ways, giving us virtually no information about the project, aside from its release date. The album feels like a victory lap for Mach, and lets us know that he's far from finished and isn't slowing down anytime soon. At this point, Mach-Hommy has grown to become more popular than I ever thought was possible. He may have outgrown his mythical cult-like status as the greatest rapper you've never heard of, but what he's become is one of the most respected rappers in the game. After being so visible this past year, I can only see his popularity continuing to grow. It's only a matter of time before he ends up on a song with Jay Electronica or even Jay-Z himself. Mach's talent is so singular, there's no other artist who is quite like him. When you look at the amount of great music that he's given us in just the past 8 years, it really is incredible. And as he's moved into executive producing for other artists, his influence will only continue to grow. When it's all said and done, Mach-Hommy has a legitimate chance to be one of the greatest rappers that we've ever seen. So I can't wait to see where he takes us next. Thank you for watching, everybody. My Mach-Hommy video got taken down a few weeks ago, which was pretty disappointing, but you know what? I figured I'd be able to update it with some new information and some stuff I missed originally to hopefully make it into a positive. So I hope you guys liked this one as much as the original. I know I had to make some changes, but that's how copyright goes on YouTube sometimes. And I'd like to give a very special shout out and thank you to Filip Neuf, S.O.L.E at Work, Gari Pi, S.O.L.E, and Riley Williams Music for providing the beats for this episode. Make sure you check out all the work they got out there. I'll definitely put a link in the bio to everything that they have available, so make sure you go check that out. Thanks for watching.